Hello everyone, my name is Hao Xie, and today I'll be presenting my final project for Global Study 115. My presentation is titled Environmental Justice in Urban China, Archival Evidence and Ethnographic Perspectives. In this project, I connect environmental justice theories with urban space I'm familiar with, and I use the archival sources to better understand how inequality plays out in everyday environments. Environmental justice is fundamentally about unequal exposure to environmental burdens. As shown on this slide, issues like pollution, waste, or lack of clean resources do not affect everyone equally. They tend to follow patterns based on a class, governance, and development. The key question that gets environmental justice is who bears the burden and why. This perspective goes beyond just environmental science. It also deeply connected to political power, economic systems, and social inequalities. I chose this topic for both academic and personal reasons. From the academic side, environmental justice fits really well with global studies. It's not only about pollution, it is also about politics, the economy, development, and people's everyday lives. And that connects a lot with ethnographical thinking we did in this class. On a more personal level, I'm familiar with how Beijing is organized as a city. I have seen that different areas develop at a different speed, and some neighborhoods clearly face more environmental stress than others. So using a place I already know helps me keep this project grounded in some concrete. It it is easier for me to think about environmental justice through an actual urban environment, not just a pure theory. For this project, I focus on a general urban industrial fringe area. It's not one exact neighborhood, but a type of place you find on the outer edges of large cities, including Beijing. This area usually mix small factories, warehouses, and regular housing. There's heavy truck traffic, more noise, and older infrastructure. A lot of residents are working class or migrant workers. This type of place is helpful because it shows where environmental burdens and the social inequality overlaps in daily life. This map helps show where that type of space fits in Beijing. The central districts right here, are more developed, while the outer districts have more industrial or mixed use zone. Uh, so I'm focusing on the outer area where the home and are closer to logistic routes and industrial activities. See how big the difference is. The first angle is economic dimension. Bensif and the co-author show that environmental exposure follows income and location. Lower income communities are more likely to live near pollution because the housing market and the land price give them fewer options. Factories and the logistics center are usually built where land is cheap. Over time, those same areas also become where the lower income residents live. So the environmental risks become long term, and isn't unique to Beijing. Many global cities shows the same pattern. The second angle is political structure. Mercado shows that access to things like clean water depends heavily on state policy. Sexton and her co-authors show that some communities are even excluded from environmental monitoring, so their risks don't appear in official data. Together, these examples shows that environmental justice is political. Who gets the protection, whose concerns are recognized, and who gets left out all depends on governance and uh, representation. The Environmental Justice Atlas shows that these issues are global. It documents over 1,000 conflicts, and many of them look very similar. Marginalized or in low income communities face the heaviest burdens. Many conflicts are tied to industrialization and global supply chain, meaning the costs and the benefits of development are unevenly distributed. Environmental justice repeats across countries, not just not just in one place. Reflexivity is important here. Even though I'm familiar with Beijing, I still need to be careful about how my own background shaped the way I understand these urban spaces. I don't want to make assumptions about people's experience or speak for them. For this project, I focus on general observation and archival or secondary resources, and I try to stay aware of my own position while interpreting environmental inequality. If I continue this project, I would keep it simple and focus on three main steps. First, I would look more closely at the everyday environment of urban industrial fringe areas. Things like traffic, land use, and visible sign of environmental stresses. This helps connect the big structural idea to what you can actually see on the ground. Second, I would map out the nearby industrial sites, logistics rules, and residential zones. Map, Mapping make the spatial pattern easier to understand and shows how these areas are linked. And third, I would review planning documents and environmental regulation to see how decisions are made and who is included or protected. These three steps connect place-based observation with the political and economic structures behind environmental inequality. To wrap up, economically, environmental burdens falls more heavily on lower income communities. Politically, protection and recognition depend on governance and who gets included in decision making. And globally, similar environmental justice patterns appear in many different regions. By using archival sources and ethnographic way of thinking, this project shows how these large structures shape everyday urban life Beijing, in places like Beijing. Okay, thank you. That's it.